So one barometer which I keep is if I'm doing one thing in an interview or anything or assignment, I should be able to look in front of the mirror and ask myself, is thing which I've done matches the quality of top 1% people in the cohort?
Hey folks, welcome to yet another episode of Footsteps. Today we have someone who has been on the journey which I am currently undergoing through, competing in 30 under 30, being an individual contributor as an SDR, to now being a judge at 30 under 30 and being an SDR manager as well. So here we have Karan. Thanks for joining in, taking out the time. Would love to have a little bit of context from your end as well for the viewers.
Pleasure is mine, Siddhant. Lovely that you reached out, and I always try to appreciate these kind of efforts, plus also try to support them. Like, to talk about me in a nutshell, I started my career preparing for civil services. I did that for more than 1 year. Then I started teaching people, more than 500 people in one go. And after that, ended into the corporate side of things. I started out with sales, and I believe it has been 3 organizations where I have scaled teams, built them from scratch, hired people, trained them, created systems, and made sure that the outbound function is smooth and running. So that's a little bit about myself. And yes, also one of 30 under 30 SDRs, currently the judge now for this edition. And I also have 100 on 100 for the global Beat the Bot. It's a little bit of bragging.
Yep, I missed out on 100 on 100. I think probably my couple of factors didn't work out for me, but I was on a 99, but still that's okay. So I'll come to the main point straight up. You competed for 30 under 30 a couple of years back, and now you're being a judge on 30 under 30. So how do you think has SDRing evolved since then? From the time you were an individual contributor to now managing SDRs and being a judge. So how has these 3-4 years been for SDR as an industry?
Okay, so telling this to you with complete transparency, when I started my first SDR role, I was not even aware about what's the full form of an SDR, right? Who an SDR is, right? And then I was lucky to have a world-class trainer with me who teach me everything. But at that time, I realized that the ecosystem for SDRs is not that mature, right? You were not able to find which resources I should follow, which books I should reach, what should be my next steps, and what happens after the SDR role. So that clarity was not present. For me to take that clarity, I had to reach out to more than 50 leaders, right? 50 sales leaders across the globe to get the book list and other stuff. But nowadays, folks like you or so many folks other out there, they share abundantly of how to move forward, how the career looks like, compensation and whatnot. So I feel that the entire ecosystem has evolved a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think I relate to you as well. So when I started my role at Avalon, that was my previous company, I ended up in sales by chance itself. I wasn't sure, how to. So like coming from a Marwadi background, I was sure that I know how to sell at least, how to talk to people with empathy. That was something I had. That is something our co-founders saw in me. They gave me the chance that this is how we run demos. So I started learning sales by just copying them, and then gently evolved with more and more demos. But at that time as well, I was not even knowing what role I would call myself as, like what would be my title. So I was like, I'm a sales manager, but technically what I was doing was a full cycle account executive role. So right from the inbound leads coming in to answering them over intercom and stuff, to booking the call with them, and then seeing them through customer success. So that whole journey was handled by me. So that was also like quite relatable. Then I joined in Sama School to learn in depth about how sales functions actually work. So you talked about the SDR industry evolving as a whole, where there are ample of resources and stuff, but from a day-to-day role point of view as well. So what, like 3 years ago, were you also doing the same thing, sending X amount of emails, doing Y amount of cold calls and just booking meetings? Or was it any different from what is like currently it is right now?
Right. That's a lovely question. And like just before answering this, I would like to comment that you said that you did so many things. So in my eyes, somebody who can do anything can be an SDR, and he's an SDR, right? So now coming to your question, If you talk about my times or times before that, it was like, imagine writing a love letter to your beloved sitting in a candlelight, right? So you had to be very precise. You will waste so many pages. You are on your own. You have to do hit and trial, unfortunately. But now it is completely changed, right? It is like you have a genie who you can call anytime and who can help you craft better emails, better calls, and also very less chances of hit and miss. And also you can do it at a mass scale. Not
Yeah.
your love life, but your business life, basically.
Yep. So you talked about doing all of this as at a mass scale. Now, the one thing that in my previous podcast with Bharadwaj, so he mentioned spamming email inboxes has become very cost effective. Just take $50-$60 per seat and spam out inboxes at large. So do you think that is like I'm what I'm seeing is this is gonna improve and increase a lot? The number of people reaching out to prospects over emails, and these are like 10-year plus tenured folks who have been decision makers at the orgs, directors, VPs for 10 plus years. So they understand, they smell the just look at the title and smell that it's a cold email with a sales pitch involved in here. So do you think email as a channel, with that all spam thing coming in and stuff, would be slightly less popular going forward in the next few years? And is it going to be social selling just going to be all the way to book all your meetings, or do you have any contrary opinion here?
Right. That's a good point, Siddhant. Now, I firmly believe that even when these like posts or news about spam, about your that pixel getting captured, etc., were not
Yep.
there, the inboxes were not saturated, I personally felt that it is about the right timing. And if you put yourself in the prospect shoe, will you open that email? Will you personally reply to that email? And in order to do that, you first need to understand what their roles are, how their daily life looks, and
Mm-hmm.
what are their goals, what are their limitations, right? Once you understand this entire ecosystem and then you send an email, that works. Now, you can either do it on a one-on-one basis, but my definition of mass outreach is slightly different. It is hyper personalized segmentation, right? So you will
Okay.
have to define a segment of your ICP, right? It can be, imagine, it can be tech companies with more than 500 employees, and you are just reaching out to, let's say, data center managers who have
Okay.
hiring role opens for an OpenStack engineer, right? And
Okay.
who have joined less than 1 year ago, right? So now this is a segment. And when you personalize your messaging to them, that is not equal to spray and pray.
Hmm.
Secondly, with the kind of tools available right now, you can customize the first steps or even the second step at a company level. So you personalize for individually, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can put them in the same funnel. So there are
Okay.
different ways of slicing and dicing, but segmentation will never go out, because volume still matters, but how you target that volume matters as well.
Got it. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So defining and adding as many ors and ands in that function. If you talk from this point of view that he's X and Y and Z and A and B and C, like the way you mentioned, you can target very specific persona. Maybe it would be 15, 20, 25 people only, but when you're reaching out to them with like a proper tailored messaging for their role, that will more likely work as compared to spraying and praying similar messages to all personas. Yep, makes sense. So like going a little granular over here, I as an SDR would also want to do that. Like I still do it, but not at scale. When I identify a particular segment that these guys are using XYZ in tech stack, and they are it's a complementary tool, they have this limitation and all of that. I do it still at an account level. So how do I get on with this? Like, which tool do I use to identify these people at scale, and how do I reach out to them at mass? Like, what are your favorite tools and the methodology to scale this particular outreach strategy?
Right. Now, I may not be able to advise you the exact tools because of some specific reasons, but I'll tell you how that is possible. Now, account level is good, but instead of choosing one account, you choose 10 accounts, right?
Okay.
Once you have drilled down to 10 accounts, use any sort of sales engagement tool. Now, if you want names, I won't give you a favorite, but you choose your Outplay, Salesloft, or Outreach, anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You bucket your emails in such a way that your first email is personalized to everyone,
Correct.
right? And in that personalization, you can use any of the 5 to 7 personalization buckets, that is self-authored posts, blogs, hiring posts, their 4K report, their 10K report. Imagine going inside a particular company's 4K report, studying the third paragraph, referencing it out, and then stitching it with your solution, and doing this on 10 different copies, right? As a first
Mm-hmm.
step. Then you have the capability to add people to a custom step always. So you now put the segments of your segments in these personalized buckets, right?
Okay.
And after that, they can have like broader emails to them. And when you want
Okay.
to still again personalize, you again spread them out. So it is like
Okay.
you'll have to think very deeply, and it will help you if you have been to marketing before, because for them, they cannot send ads to one person.
Yeah.
They will have to create segments. Now, they will
Mm-hmm.
have to create segments very smartly and then A/B test as well.
Correct.
So if somebody is able to do all this, they will get success.
Yeah. And how much does following this particular methodology affect your volume? Because obviously, you said take out 10 accounts which are in the similar segment to begin with. Maybe suppose I do 15 or 20 as well. So I don't think I'll be able to do more than 20 in one particular day, because you obviously have to spend some time in personalization, or for the first email at least, then segments and automated emails with whatever value prop you have, you can send in. But and when I go account level as well, I'm able to send 20-25 emails a day, like proper personalized emails where I'm doing contextual outreach. So how to scale that? Or would you be, as an SDR manager, would you be looking at these numbers that is this as particular SDR not sending 50-60 emails, or you're okay with someone sending 20-25 emails as well?
Okay, I'm glad that you asked that follow-up question, because understand this. Nowadays, SDR's role is not to only do this, right?
Okay.
And SDR will also have a retargeting campaign. And
Mm-hmm.
SDR will also have a post-event outreach campaign. And
Yeah.
SDR will also have maybe a campaign for a 3-year-old event in parallel, right? And on top of that, they might still have a white paper campaign, a webinar campaign, right? So if they invest upfront time in setting these up, right, in a segmented, personalized manner, those 50 emails per day add up to 300 emails per day. And I'm okay if somebody is sending 300 emails per day, but he's trying out 5 different things, right? And in those 5 different things, they have a method to it. Because at the end,
Okay.
like, nothing is perfect. You, like, even after doing it for these many years, I cannot tell you the perfect email which will work for every single thing. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say one of my SDRs was, let's say, doing a, my previous company was doing a old event outreach campaign or a old contact form outreach campaign, and somebody
Okay.
from 5 years ago replied that thank you for sending this email. This is the exact right time because we are working on 2 RFPs exactly at this point of time. So you will have to hit the timing correct, but your messaging has to be professional enough and it should not be spammy. Like by the look of it, you can tell if it is a spammy email or is it like personalized, somebody has put a thought to it. It has to be a pattern interrupt. It cannot be the same email.
So now coming on to, understanding methodologies, I think all SDR managers would be okay with an SDR working on particular segments or cadences with a methodology. Now, when you as an SDR manager, where do you wear that coaching hat for your SDRs? What is a particular time when you feel like, this is where it's going wrong? Maybe it's after 500, 1,000 emails that a particular SDR is sent on a segment, or you feel, if his cold calls are getting messed up even after when the prospect picks up.
Okay, good. So the first thing before the coaching hat is what I do is, let's say I take Gita in my hand or Bible in my hand and I promise that I will never micromanage you. So I don't care when they log in, when they log out, what do they do during the entire day. What I care about is only one thing: own your numbers, own what you have signed up for. And while owning up, what I do is, let's say whatever targets you have, imagine you have targets of getting 20 meetings booked by the end of the quarter, right?
Okay.
So I won't wait till the end of the quarter to actually check what is happening and then let's fix the next quarter. No, that's not happening. What we do is we again segment that into like multiple phases. For example, for 20 meetings, for 20 converted meetings, how many actual meetings you need to set up? For these many actual meetings, how many calls you need? How many emails you need? And then break it down to daily activities, a number comes up. That's one. Second, if you need to achieve all these numbers after one quarter, how should these numbers look like at a monthly level? Then, how will these numbers look like at a weekly level? Now, when an SDR is chasing a weekly excellence, so the goal is not big, it is very much into the reach. And when you try to achieve that weekly excellence, I get to know if you are achieving 50%, 75%, or 150% at a weekly level. I only talk to them or to any SDR once a week. Beyond that, my calendar is always open for you. We will talk. But I hire only those SDRs who have this kind of self-image in them that if their weekly goals are not going fine, they feel discomfortable, right? And when they feel discomfortable about it, they talk about it. That I tried this, but this is not happening. And then we discuss something, right?
Okay.
So it is not micromanaging. It is just pacing your race. I'll give you an example. So when I do a 10 kilometer, my coach won't check it after 10 kilometers. He asks me in every kilometer of how this is coming, what's your pace, what's your heart rate right now, right? If everything is going fine, it's good. And nowadays, like CRMs, etc., the kind of analytics we have, everything is open. You just need a diligent person who puts the soul into it. And if the numbers are not there, they'll reach out to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that is when you're just doing weekly checkpoint sort of a system, where things you make things clear. Obviously, when you have your SDR team meet and stuff, this is what you're going to work on. This is what our targets are, and then do a weekly check-in of how it's going, how it's not going, what's working, what's not working. That's it. And
I'll refine it, but just say you're saying something after end.
Yeah, so that is when you wear your coaching hat. That this is probably where we're going wrong. So we'll need to just course correct a bit over here.
That is one situation, Siddhant, that usually doesn't occur, because I believe in training people so well, right? Giving them the time, be it any organization I join, they should have at least 15 to 20 days of training without any work, right? And there you coach them about the entire framework and how to even self-heal, right? Self-healing is also a technique. Now, They always reach out when something is not working, because you inject that kind of hunger into them. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
ask about why this is not working. You just give them a vision, and that vision, when that vision is not happening, the person will reach out to you. And there also, you do not have to suggest that you do this. Gone are those days. You just cannot say that just do this. You'll have to say that what are your thoughts about it. Okay, if you don't have any thoughts, what are your thoughts about these three ideas? Okay, now why don't you try these three, collect data, and then sit back after 1 week and then reiterate, right? So the end goal is, you have to make Siddhant meet the real Siddhant. What is your true potential? What you are capable of in every single direction? So one way of wearing the coaching hat is when things are not going well, and one way is when things are going tremendously well. Because when you hire a peak performer, you better have something to like quench his thirst and hunger, else they'll leave.
Yep.
So exactly understanding where they are, giving them the next set of tasks which will help them develop the next set of skills. The process takes 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's a long-term process because of the nature of the industry as well. You don't get any sort of results with just one email or one call. Exceptions could be there. You could book meetings with the first email as well. Not a thing, but usually it takes a lot of time to work on an account and stuff. So yeah, makes sense. Now you talked about self-healing, and what I'm able to connect is it is somewhat in connect with what you have started posting out with the 90-second podcast thing, where you talk about how people are vulnerable, how you can share vulnerabilities, and as SDR, like sales itself is like a process where you're starting from zero every month. So what's that process where an SDR could heal himself or herself, and even probably he meets his target, does not meet his target, but still keep that hunger on? Because I think once you fall into a couple of months of not hitting your targets, the vicious cycle kicks in, and that getting back that hunger to again hit 100 try and hit 100% next month becomes difficult. So what's that self-healing process like?
So one line which you said, when somebody is not being able to hit there for a couple of months, first of all, if that is happening, then the manager is not doing the job properly. Like I said to you, it's never a couple of months. If you are fixing after couple of months, it's just a sarkari job or a sarkari manager you are, right? If you're somebody very efficient, if you're somebody who has actually done it, you won't require more than 5 days to understand how much and where that trajectory will take the particular SDR. Because nowadays the level of analytics and tools which you get, you don't have to wait for a couple of months. So the first thing is, let them fail, but let them fail only that much through which they can get up. Let them not exactly get drowned, right?
Yeah.
But give them the taste and push them a little bit more. Now, once they are in that situation, when you are pushing them a little bit more, for example, when somebody is teaching you swimming, they won't actually drone you, but they will have to teach you how to do bubbling, etc. So you will have to be slightly uncomfortable. So good SDR manager knows that what your vulnerability quotient is, right? And when you are vulnerable at that particular quotient, then a good SDR manager asks you to zoom out, right? Because when you get a punch on your nose, everything blacks out. But after that, the real journey starts, right? So when you help them zoom out, because they are very concerned that, Karan, why am I not able to get even one SQL in the last 7 days? And they are so worried about that. You zoom that out. Forget about 7 SQLs. Like, first of all, how are you doing? Are you able to sleep properly? How are you eating? How's your lifestyle nowadays? What are you doing outside work? How do you take care of your body, health, and mind? Is everything good in your relationships? Because trust me, I've seen so many professionals. If something is going bad in their outside life, it will affect the work life. And if something is going perfectly fine in every single sphere, it will take me 1 day to fix their results, right? But what we have to fix is the outer world first. So you talk about the outer world and you try to fix it. If let's say somebody is going through a real situation, give them time off. Because see, imagine, you have to care for the person in the salesperson, And that's why I urge to SDRs that join a company where the company cares about you. So definitely a company cannot say to you that take a 1 year leave, but there is a quotient for that as well. So what a company can stretch, you should be aware about. So giving them the leeway, etc. So once all the outside factors are fixed, we can always talk to the SDR and talk to them that SQLs get affected by 5 different things. Let's analyze each of them in a data driven manner. And when you talk about data can never prove you wrong. That's how you identify a bottleneck and you fix it by doing iterations. It's not a magic.
Got it. Yeah. When we talk about that, when I listen to this from that point of view as well, when I was also kind of reflecting on how am I doing personally, how my relationships are. That makes sense. When I can start working on that as a thing, maybe my mind is happier, my body is happier, and I'll be able to focus my energies in a better way.
Exactly. And also, like when new SDR join or peak performers join, they like to remain online always, to reply instantaneously, to reply even at 8 p.m. or even reply on the weekend. And I just ask them, log off, do not reply to me after 6 p.m. Because I am messaging you when I am comfortable. You only message me when you are
When you
comfortable in
are
your working
comfortable.
hours.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Awesome. So now coming to you working at Canonical and being an SDR manager. I think VWO is also a remote setup company. So what I feel at times is for SDRs or what at least I've heard from other people, when you have an in-office setup, you get to learn and listen to people like just beside your desk. What kind of email are they writing, for what kind of prospect or what kind of openers, cold calls they are dialing into. The knowledge transfer is very quick, and obviously that's not possible in a remote setup. The level of communication you have. So how can I particularly as an SDR ensure that, and how do you as an SDR manager ensure that knowledge transfer is always happening?
Right. So if you talk about Canonical specifically, I cannot tell you the best practices because of the confidentiality. But I'll talk in general terms because I've been working remotely for more than 5 years, right? Canonical
Okay.
specific, we take care of it very nicely because we have not gone remote after COVID. Canonical has worked from anywhere since the last 20 years, right? So we have a very unique system where we have sprints where our SDRs and sales professionals and other teammates, we travel to different places across the globe almost
Mhm.
every second quarter or maybe every quarter as well. We go there, spend 7 days with each other, work, enjoy, have fun. And that is much better than just going to office daily in Gurgaon facing that traffic.
Yeah.
So that is one that is one point, right? So that keeps my team more motivated than anybody who's going to the office daily. Knowledge sharing is never a problem because we meet the entire team very frequently in person and we also have fun. It's not boring, it's ever changing. Now, apart from Canonical, it's been more than like 5 years I've been working in a remote environment. So it is, Siddhant, it is like if you have computers which are not on the same network, the transfer of data won't happen. So you have to bring them on the same network. Now, what do I mean by same network? Same network means you have a shared team vision. You try to have team goals as well on top of individual goals. And when you have a shared vision, at the end, the individual goals should not be only quantitative. There has to be a segment which involves engagement with the other members of team as well. It can be coaching them, it can be guiding them, it can be doing a team building activity with them, right? So when you create this kind of holistic environment, you connect everything because people only do something when they feel motivated to do it, right? So when it is, yeah, I'll just take a question. So when it is aligned with their goals, when it is aligned with their vision, then they talk. And at the end, you have to, technically, you'll have to have channels, programs, catch ups, initiatives in a different manner that best practices are shared across seamlessly. And I can tell you that, like the way I've worked in my last 5 years, we do it better than any team just sitting one step, just sitting somebody close to you.
Hmm. You mentioned team goals as well. So what are these? Like, I'm sure that won't be as if like if everybody is doing 50 emails a day, the team would like there are the team of 7 people, so 7 into 50, 350 should be reached. That wouldn't be a team goal, right? So what are these team goals on top of these individual goals?
So imagine if I have to hire a sales team right now, I will not only give them individual goals, but I will also give them region specific goals. Let's say if
Okay.
Siddhant and Karan both are working in India, I might give them India specific goals as well, like host an event and get these many leads. That's your team goal. You have
Okay.
this much budget set aside, or host that event, get this much amount of shared pipeline, right? You do a
Hmm.
double bubble. You'll have to spend money to make people come together, then they will stay with your company, and then you will grow in long term. You cannot think about just extracting everything out of one individual and then assuming that there will be fabulous team bonding and they will stay with you for more than 7 years.
Hmm. Yeah, that opens up new perspectives for me as well. Yep, makes sense. So spending in money to get them together so that there's harmony in there. Got it. So is it like something you would suggest do it quarterly, semi-annual, annually? How do you do that?
It can be anything, right? So I would start by, let's say, if you have a compensation plan, so you will have some part of your individual goals. Some part should be those kind of goals where you are subjectively measured based on if you are helping new SDRs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are taking some sessions, if you are doing something from your learning budget and then sharing it with the team. So you'll have to think about those innovative ideas, and then there has to be a fraction of your goals which are shared with the team also. That's how
Hmm.
you grow a region. You cannot grow a region when you only think individually. Now these shared goals can be at a SDR level also, they can be between a SDR and a account executive also, and they can be between a SDR, account executive, and marketing also. And if you further
Hmm.
expand it, SDR, marketing, your account executive, and then let's say the customer success, and then the product guys. That's how you build a region and a regional team.
Yep. So like starting small, but expanding such ideas is always like sounds easy, but is not easy to do. Is what I can imagine as of now, at least.
So what I can say is join a place where they're already being implemented. There are tons of companies where these happens. Broaden your horizon. Don't think that SaaS is the end of world. There are core tech companies. There are companies which have philosophies. There are founders who are phenomenal global level leaders, have done something much more excellent, much more bigger in their life, better than the company itself. If even this company sinks, they can build a new company the next very day because they are thought leaders. So join a company with a leadership, thought leaders, and they have done something which goes on Wikipedia, right? They
Hmm.
have created, let's say a chat GPT or open AI sort of thing. So when you go behind these thought leaders, then unique things happen. But if you go about somebody creating one tool, hiring 5 SDRs out of one region, tackling the entire globe, joining the rocket ship, and only getting paid on meetings booked for 1 month, and that is painful. And the last thing is that I'm not against it. It's good. Companies want it, people do it. But I would not make anybody work in their night shift to do something, because that goes against the very basic fraction of their well-being. And I also
Hmm.
cannot manage those SDRs, because if I cannot take care of their health first, I'm not entitled to manage their SQLs.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. So lot of things like I think for each for anybody who's listening to this, they can relate to it on a personal level, and a lots to uncover after all these what do I say, mirror questions, or the reflective questions which come up, the statements that you're making. So probably I'm going to also go back and listen to all this once again to see what can I do as well.
That's fine, but like one thing, because when people usually start as an SDR, they are single. They want to do, so when I say single, like they are not married, they
Hmm.
want to do something phenomenal, something unique. So they try out all this. They should, but after that they have a family, they have a wife, they have kids, and then you realize I am more than my job. Because the moment something happens to you, your manager will find your replacement in one day. Within one day, your hiring post for your job will be out there. So when you think about your life, right, then your job will be taken care of, because your working hours is what, like 8 hours, right? It is less than 34% of your entire life. So don't make it 100%.
Yep. So I'm like, from all this, I'm what I'm understanding is you are a person who would want just dedicated 8 hours and people to focus on other aspects of their life throughout the day as well, and not interrupt them.
Yeah. So to start with, take care of the other aspects, make them best, and then give 8 quality hours. And within those 8 quality hours also have maybe 45-minute, 1 hour of lunch blocked for eternity. Do not like eat your food randomly, and do not let people book meetings randomly on your calendar.
So you're more of that guy who'll stick to the routine, make everyone else stick to a routine, or if not a routine, but certain self-care blocking hours as well, so that all other things, aspects out of SDRing is also covered. Got it.
Yeah, only that it happens, right? Only then can you hire one top SDR from that particular country. That's what we do. We only hire one SDR or one BDR from a single country, have been to the best university out there.
I have not been to a university, so would I ever have a chance to
That's okay.
apply for that?
So we write that it's totally okay if you have never been to the university. If you are a teacher, you are a carpenter, I don't care about it. You show those traits, you clear 9 rounds, and we give you the best SDR job or culture possible out there.
Oh my god, 9 rounds. Okay, that sounds a little overwhelming for me, but I'm sure it won't be as much. But when you're looking for jobs, a lot of people, I also came from a SaaS background, then still I had some difficulties switching into a job. A lot of people are moving in from EdTech to SaaS. So what are the traits you would look in as a hiring manager in someone in a potential employee of yours? And what are people getting wrong as well these days? Because you also see a flock of people moving from EdTech to SaaS. Obviously, it's their first job, probably they're early in their career. But yeah, what these guys usually get wrong, and how they can change their approach or the application process.
Right. So let's broaden it a little bit. Why only EdTech to SaaS? Let's say somebody was a customer success manager, wants to try the SDR role. Somebody was a mental health practitioner and then want to try something. Somebody was a first aid responder, right? So anything, right? Or somebody was a 6-year seasoned SDR and then applying for the role. What do they get wrong? So I've also mentioned it on my LinkedIn banner picture. Grit, curiosity, and discipline. These are the 3 things I cannot teach you. Like, I can teach my son, but I cannot teach an SDR. I cannot teach an SDR from scratch unless you pay me heavily to do that. So these 3 qualities, for me, only these 3 qualities, and just add to it just being truthful, right? So for example, I ask people, what quality separates you out from 999 other applications we have? The person says that I give my 200%. I go above and beyond. And then I ask him, let's say, how have you gone above and beyond and given your 200% in this particular segment of your assignment submission? And they have some random answers. But then when I ask them very basic things about, let's say, the company itself or anything, they don't have answers to it. So the thing is, what do you say? Stand by it. What do you write on your resume? It can be 3 lines, but you better be able to defend them with exact anecdotes, with data. Because I won't believe your 110% SQL achievement. I will only ask you one question through which I'll get to know how much SQL achievement you got. So you should have done exactly what you were writing. And if you have not done that, just say that I have not done this and I'm willing to learn. But you will have to demonstrate to me that your willingness to learn is better than somebody else's willingness to learn who actually knows it. Then I can give you an advantage, because I'm not doing some charity here, because a company is not doing charity. We need the right people with the right traits so that it can be good for them as well. Hiring is always a two-way street. You judge the company, we judge the candidate, right? If we'll be the right fit or not. So just be honest. And the last barometer which I keep for myself is, like, I can proudly say that maybe I've never been rejected because of my skills. So one barometer which I keep is, if I'm doing one thing in an interview or anything or assignment, I should be able to look in front of the mirror and ask myself, is the thing which I've done matches the quality of top 1% people in the cohort which have a similar background as me. So for example, if Siddhant is hiring for foot in the door when it becomes 1000 employees, then I have to think, if there are 1000 applicants for this particular job, how many of them would have done this, what I'm doing?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Got it. Yeah, so that's how you get into, I think, a mathematical way to get into, getting those advantage points in the interview. Yeah, makes sense. Makes
Right.
sense.
And then rest is
And this
like
applies.
normal logistics. Now, what to do, what not to do, put your creativity into it. But just think that, is it something that only 10, less than 10 people will do among 1000 people? If you get a yes from your heart and soul, just do it. I'll give you an example. So I was applying for a company multiple years before. I saw their YouTube channel. There were 323 videos there. I watched all of them. I created a big Excel sheet with 333 rows, breaking down them into 7 segments, exactly knowing what their products are, what are the loopholes, customer feedbacks, moving forward, stories, anecdotes. When we started my interview, just opened the sheet. I'm pretty sure the CEO has not watched all the 326 videos. So,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
That sounds such. That is like going to crazy levels to do something. Like, I wouldn't watch my own 300 videos probably.
Yeah. So that was the phase when I was not having an SDR background. So when you tell to your interviewer that I'm willing to do everything, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to go above and beyond, just don't do a lip service. Don't be lip deep. Be heart deep. Show that.
I think it's just the way people just give up so easily on things and don't fight it out, like, to their max potential, or whatever extent they can go on, just separates out the best from everybody else. And I think that's pretty, like, there are so many people, content creators, saying go the extra mile and do whatever it takes to get it there, but still people, I don't know why they don't understand it, but going these crazy levels is what gets you all the attention. I think for SDRs it is as simple as, making a video pitch as well. I don't think a lot of people are still doing it even after having so many good tools these days.
That's correct, Siddhant. And the reason which I think is there is because they don't love what they're doing.
Yep, could be the case.
Right. Because I have not seen a deeply invested SDR who loves this and he still gives subpar efforts.
Yeah, I think goes down to not just video, but the number of dials you're making. If you're honest enough, if you don't fear those dials, will make the most number of dials as well. Make the best videos, even if they are not the best videos, but you're still attempting to do it. So when you like it, you try all of the aspects which are possible out there. Like, any new things comes up, you try it out. Be like, let's see if it works for me or not. And that's how, as an individual as well, not just SDRing as a role, but in any industry you are in, that's how you evolve in your style, what suits you or works for you the best, and that's what becomes your branding as such, if I were to call it.
That's it, man. Right. So take this example. Imagine the first love of your life, right? And you know that the entire batch wants to approach a beautiful person of any gender, right? Then will you give an effort which is only 10%? No, you'll just think, how can I do something which is very unique, which nobody has done, right? You won't give a 10% effort and be very relaxed that was my best. No. So when I'm not saying that have that exact same mentality here, but even if you love what you are doing, even like once a week, then also you will do something very unique that will set you apart from everyone out there. So just do it. And I'm pretty okay if my SDR tells me that, Karan, this week I've decided I won't make even one single call, but this is how I will achieve my 2 meeting target. I'll say, let's do it.
Yeah, I think till the time you're reaching the target, whatever way it is, if you have given a deep thought to it, I think any manager would be okay with that.
Yeah. So just be upfront. Like, don't think that since the company has told I need to make 50 dials every day, 50 emails, that is bad, man. Just training robots. I would rather make this job done by robots than a human.
I think being upfront in a lot of things helps. Now that I look at my own instances as well, where I have not been upfront and I've paid the price for it. But yeah, I feel like I should have been upfront, and maybe it would have made a difference. It would have been counterintuitive as well, but then that thought wouldn't have been staying in my mind that, I just held myself back there.
Yes. So never hold yourself back. Just ask. If you're not clear, ask for clarity. People cannot do this, but people should do this. So I think I'm not 100% sure about SaaS, because when I talk to people in the SaaS industry only, they think about their career trajectory as SDR to SDR manager or account executive, right? I'm yet to meet people who still show a broader vision, or they think I will decide after 2 years what I need to do. But I would request them to broaden their horizon. SaaS is only software as a service. There are so many core tech companies who do nationwide implementations for government, big telecommunication, big automobile manufacturers, and their accounts go so deep that they are across the globe, right? They have 50 people just working on one deal. Right?
Yep.
A pre-sales guy, a sales guy, a technical person, somebody just building the RFP, etc. So broaden your horizon, think in those terms as well. So that is from a company perspective. And whenever you are switching, just think two things. What is the impact this company is making on the global perspective? What is the impact I can make there? If it is growing linearly, if not exponentially, that is good. Right? But it should grow. The impact you can create, the impact the company creates on the globe, right? That is the one thing. Second is always choose something, try to choose something in your upcoming years which gives you a global perspective, a global team share. Because what you will learn from being a Chinese SDR to just staying in China working with 7 Chinese nationals, you just cannot imagine how much you will learn having a 60 people SDR team across the globe who meets each other every single quarter. And the learnings, the cultures, the educational background, and the growth after that. People go to US, spend more than 2 crores to do an MBA, and I ask them, why are you doing this? You already have these skills. I got answers so as to build my network. Being an SDR right now, you have that opportunity to even get paid to build your global network, right? Yep. That is second. The last one is, this job is only less than 35% of your entire life. Decide what your priorities are and have a health focus first. I've been guilty of it. I've been the peak performer, records made which nobody was even able to break in that particular company, but I had the worst health profile possible, right? So I've suffered with that. Even in a day shift, forget about night shift, I was not able to do it. Like, I just cannot do it, right? I'll become a watchman in a day shift, but I can't do that because of my health and like my upbringing or my mental conditioning. But first, figure out a health regime. Join somebody who is like 10x better than you in health, right? Do it daily. When you do that and take care of your relationships, job etc. will work automatically. It is automatic. But when you only think job cannot fix all of this. Like, I was in a situation where I had money, but I was not having time or ways to spend it. So these are the few advices. And lastly, stay humble no matter what you do, and talk and reach out to people without having something or a clear intention or a ask. That's how you grow network. And be very humble when you are asking for anything from anybody. It can be a new joiner, you can be the VP.
Yeah, I think this thing goes a long way. Being humble, and a lot of people, I think of particularly I've seen in my age groups, not being very humble, bragging about things. But yeah, when I'm like, I'll see you in 10 years, what happens, what does not happen, and then we'll see what being humble brings out of someone. So yeah, makes sense. I think on that note, we can wrap this podcast. If you're here, if you have if you're here till the end of this video, I'm sure you would have taken some value out of it. So do share it with your peers, note it down, maybe start implementing any of these pointers in your daily lives, and let us know if this brings out any positive changes in your personal, professional, or your peers' lives as well. So thanks a lot, and see you in the next one.
Bye guys, take care. Lots of love and
Thank
take
you,
care of
Karan.
yourself. Thank you, Siddhant.